Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. No one can pull your strings when you've learned to hold them yourself. Sigma males live by this quiet law. They don't walk around shouting about freedom. They live it. You can't manipulate someone who isn't hungry for validation, approval, or attention. And that's what makes Sigma males impossible to control. They've learned early that the world runs on hidden strings, emotional ones, social ones, financial ones, and instead of fighting the system loudly, they simply refuse to be part of it. A Sigma male moves differently. He listens more than he speaks. He observes people's motives before letting them in. He knows that every compliment has a purpose, and every command has a price. This awareness is not born from arrogance, but from experience. He's seen what happens when you let others think for you. He values freedom more than popularity. He values peace more than power. And when someone tries to pull his strings, he quietly cuts them one by one, without argument or anger. That calm resistance is what makes him untouchable. So if you've ever felt like you don't fit into the world's system of control, understand this. You're not broken, you're awake. The reason you can't be a puppet is because you've already seen the strings. Stay till the end of this video, because you're about to understand the real psychology behind why Sigma males can't be controlled and why that might just be your greatest strength. Let's dive in deeper, brothers. Number 1, they have no desire to please. That single truth separates Sigma males from most people. While the world is busy performing for approval, a Sigma male quietly moves in his own direction, without needing anyone to clap for him. He doesn't need applause to confirm his value because his validation comes from within. That inner confidence is rare in a world that runs on attention, likes, and recognition. You can't control a man who doesn't crave to be liked. That's why manipulation fails around him. Guilt trips, silent treatment, social pressure, none of it works. You can't make him dance by promising affection or withhold love to make him chase it. He doesn't trade his peace for approval. If you withdraw your praise, he stays calm. If you criticize him, he listens only if it makes sense. Otherwise, your words fall flat. A Sigma male understands that the moment you start living for people's validation, you become their puppet. So he walks away from the stage completely. While others are busy rehearsing their next performance to stay relevant, he's out there building a life that feels right to him, not one that looks right to others. This mindset often makes people misunderstand him. They call him detached, cold, or arrogant. But in truth, he simply knows the cost of seeking approval. It always ends with you losing yourself a little more each day. So he'd rather be misunderstood than manipulated. His worth doesn't rise when people clap, and it doesn't fall when they turn their backs. That kind of independence is power in its purest form. It's not loud, not rebellious. It's steady, unshakable, and completely self-owned. That's why Sigma males can never be puppets. You can only pull strings attached to those who need something from you. A Sigma needs nothing but his own peace, and that makes him free. Number 2, they understand the game but refuse to play it. That single line describes the quiet rebellion of a Sigma male. He sees the rules that everyone else pretends not to notice. He knows how society rewards those who fake smiles, exaggerate success, and bend the truth to stay ahead. He sees how people build entire lives around appearances, yet feel empty inside. But instead of joining that exhausting game, he simply opts out. A Sigma male doesn't need to manipulate because he understands how manipulation works. He reads people's intentions the way others read headlines. He can tell when someone is pretending to care, when a compliment is a setup, or when loyalty is just a performance. He doesn't expose them or start drama. He just quietly adjusts his distance. His strength lies in choosing authenticity, even when everyone else is busy pretending. He knows the price of playing the game. It costs your peace, your honesty, and eventually your sense of self. So he stays grounded in truth, even when that truth isolates him. That choice makes him rare, because very few people have the courage to live without masks. While others chase social points, he chases clarity. While people waste energy trying to be impressive, he focuses on being real. That authenticity doesn't make him popular, but it does make him powerful. People can't control what they can't predict, and the Sigma's refusal to play by society's unwritten rules keeps him beyond reach. He doesn't reject the world out of bitterness. He simply refuses to let it rewrite his nature. He sees the game for what it is, a cycle of pretending to belong, and he chooses freedom instead. That is what makes him untouchable. You can't manipulate someone who sees through the trick, and you can't use fear to control a man who doesn't need the crowd's approval. He already won by not playing. Number 3. They think before they obey. They think before they obey. That's the quiet difference that separates a Sigma male from everyone else. Most people hear an instruction and immediately move to please, but a Sigma pauses. He listens, he observes, and then he asks the silent question, who benefits from this? That short moment of analysis is where his power lies. He's not rebellious for the sake of being difficult. He's simply aware that not every order deserves obedience. A Sigma male has learned that the world often hides control behind polite requests and emotional persuasion. People will dress manipulation in kindness, wrap control in compliments, and disguise pressure as loyalty. But he can smell the agenda before it even reaches him. He studies tone, timing, and motive. If something feels off, he doesn't argue. He just withdraws his energy. That quiet refusal is more powerful than any confrontation. He knows that blind obedience is how people lose themselves. The more you follow without thinking, the easier it becomes for others to shape your choices. Sigma males guard their independence like it's sacred. They'll listen to advice, but they'll always run it through their own judgment before acting. It's not pride, it's self-respect. This habit often confuses people who expect instant compliance. They mistake his calm hesitation for arrogance, not realizing he's simply evaluating the truth behind the words. And once he senses manipulation, the connection fades instantly. You can't lead a man who studies your motive more than your message. That's what makes Sigma males so hard to control. They live with awareness, not impulse. They choose reasoning over reaction, and when the world tries to hand them a script to follow, they politely decline and write their own. That rare balance of intelligence and independence is why they can never be puppets in anyone's play. Number 4. They notice patterns, not promises. That's what makes a Sigma male almost impossible to deceive. While most people get swept away by smooth talk and sweet words, a Sigma listens with his eyes, not his ears. He studies what people do, not what they say. He's not impressed by grand declarations or emotional performances. He's watching for consistency, for patterns, for truth in action. To a Sigma male, words are cheap until proven by behavior. You can promise loyalty, but he's checking how you act when things stop benefiting you. You can preach honesty, but he's noticing the small lies you tell to protect your image. You can act caring, but he's observing how quickly that care fades when the spotlight is gone. He collects these details quietly, storing them like clues until the full picture reveals itself. This sharp observation is not born out of distrust, but wisdom. He's seen how easily people mask their intentions, so he lets time expose what talk tries to hide. He knows that patterns never lie. People might change their tone, their story, or their excuses, but their behavior always repeats. That's the truth he lives by. Because of this, Sigma males rarely get blindsided. When they finally walk away, it's not sudden, it's the conclusion of months of silent observation. They already saw the red flags long before anyone else did. They simply waited to be sure. Their strength lies in patience and clarity. While others rush into relationships, friendships, or partnerships based on promises, a Sigma watches the rhythm behind the words. That's why he moves smarter, not faster. This ability to read patterns instead of emotions protects his peace. It keeps manipulators frustrated, liars exposed, and fake loyalty powerless. You can fool the crowd with words, but never a Sigma with patterns. He's already seen who you are long before you open your mouth. Number 5, they don't chase power, they understand it. That is what makes Sigma males so different. While others scramble for authority, control, and recognition, a Sigma male stands quietly in the background, studying how power actually moves. He doesn't crave the throne because he knows the price that comes with it. He sees how people change once they taste control, how they start serving their ego instead of their purpose. A Sigma male knows that real power isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. He understands that the man who can control his emotions, his impulses, and his reactions already has more strength than anyone shouting commands. So, while the world competes for influence, he focuses on inner stability. That calm awareness gives him a kind of quiet authority that people naturally respect, without him demanding it. He doesn't play mind games to gain control, and he doesn't fear those who try to play them on him. He recognizes manipulation the same way a chess master spots a predictable move. Instead of reacting, he lets people expose themselves. That patience and insight make him almost impossible to outsmart. Because he understands power, he never becomes addicted to it. He knows it can seduce, corrupt, and enslave just as easily as it can elevate. So he chooses freedom over domination every time. He uses power like a tool, not a trophy. People often underestimate him because he doesn't fight for attention. But when he finally speaks or acts, everything shifts. His strength comes from knowledge, not control. His confidence comes from understanding, not intimidation. That is the Sigma's secret. He doesn't need to be on top to influence the game. He simply knows how it's played, and that awareness alone makes him untouchable. Number 6. They operate in observation mode. That's one of the Sigma male's greatest strengths, and it's what separates him from those who rush to speak, judge, or react. Before he says a word, he's already reading the room. Before he takes a step, he's already analyzed the terrain. He knows that people reveal their true nature not through what they say, but through what they do when pressure hits, so he watches and learns. A Sigma male doesn't jump to conclusions because he understands that time always tells the truth. While others are busy trying to prove themselves or win arguments, he sits back in silence, gathering data. He studies tone, timing, small details, and emotional shifts. Nothing escapes his attention. He can sense when someone's confidence is real or just performance. He can tell when someone's kindness is genuine or calculated. His silence often makes people nervous because they can't read him. They mistake it for indifference, but it's actually focus. He's not ignoring you. He's observing you. He's watching how you react when things don't go your way, how you treat people who can't benefit you, and how you handle truth when it's uncomfortable. Through this quiet observation, the Sigma collects more insight than anyone talking in circles. He learns people's motives, weaknesses, and limits without ever asking. That's why he rarely gets blindsided or betrayed twice by the same person. Operating in observation mode gives him an edge in every environment. He doesn't need to control others. He just needs to understand them. And once he does, he can decide exactly who deserves his presence and who doesn't. It's not that he's distant. It's that he's deliberate. His silence is his shield, and his awareness is his weapon. By the time others are still trying to figure him out, he already knows everything he needs to know. Number 7, their mind questions everything. That's the core of what makes Sigma males impossible to manipulate. They don't take anything at face value. Not orders, not traditions, not even their own thoughts. Every idea has to pass through their internal filter of truth and logic before it earns their trust. They live in a constant state of mental awareness, not paranoia, but precision. A Sigma male's mind is like a quiet laboratory. Every word spoken to him, every belief he's told to accept, gets tested. He doesn't argue for attention, he questions for understanding. If something doesn't align with reason or personal experience, he simply lets it go. That's why people can't easily influence him. He's not swayed by emotional pressure or social approval. He needs facts, not feelings, to believe. This questioning nature often makes him stand out in a world that rewards compliance. Most people prefer to follow the crowd because it's comfortable. A Sigma doesn't. He'd rather walk alone in truth than join the masses in confusion. He knows that blind obedience may bring temporary peace, but it always costs long-term freedom. Because of this, he becomes a mirror that exposes lazy thinking. His calm refusal to accept something just because can make others defensive. But his goal isn't to challenge for the sake of ego, it's to understand the why behind everything. This mindset is what keeps his spirit free. It protects him from being programmed by trends, expectations, or authority. He doesn't rebel loudly, he questions quietly. And that quiet questioning is more powerful than open defiance. When everyone else is busy nodding in agreement, the Sigma is asking the uncomfortable question that no one dares to ask. That's how he stays awake in a sleeping world. His freedom doesn't come from breaking rules. It comes from understanding which rules actually make sense. Number 8, they don't confuse connection with control. That's one of the most defining traits of a Sigma male. He values genuine bonds, but he understands the fine line between love and manipulation. He can care deeply, but the moment someone tries to use that care to control him, something inside him switches off. The emotional door closes, and it never opens the same way again. A Sigma male gives loyalty, but not blindly. He believes that connection should be built on respect, not ownership. So when someone starts using guilt, affection, or emotional games to steer his behavior, he notices instantly. He won't argue or accuse. He just begins to pull his energy back quietly and completely. That silent withdrawal is his way of saying, "You went too far." To him, love should never feel like a cage. The second it does, it loses its meaning. He's not afraid of closeness, but he refuses to sacrifice his freedom for it. That's what confuses people. They mistake his emotional control for coldness when, in truth, it's clarity. He simply knows that no relationship is worth losing yourself over. When a Sigma disconnects, it's not out of hate, it's out of self-respect. He can forgive, but he won't reattach. Once he sees that someone's affection was really a leash, he cuts it clean and walks away. This emotional independence is what makes him untouchable. He can love without depending, connect without clinging, and care without losing himself. You can't manipulate a man who's willing to walk away from anyone trying to pull his strings. That's the quiet strength of a Sigma male. He understands that real connection doesn't demand control, it offers freedom. And anyone who fails to understand that will eventually find themselves talking to a closed door and wondering why it stopped answering. In conclusion, that's the quiet power of a Sigma male. He moves through life with his own rhythm, untouched by manipulation or pressure. He doesn't need to shout about independence because he lives it every single day. His choices come from awareness, not approval. His peace comes from self-control, not permission. A Sigma male understands that real strength isn't about fighting the world, it's about not letting the world change who you are. He doesn't need control over others to feel powerful. He only needs control over himself. That's why he's calm when others panic and focused when others chase noise. His stability comes from within, and that's something no one can take away. The reason Sigma males can never be puppets is simple. They've seen how control works, and they've chosen freedom instead. They think for themselves, they trust their instincts, they know when to stay silent, when to walk away, and when to stand firm. If you've ever felt like you see through things others can't, like you don't fit into the world's usual rules, that's not isolation, it's awareness. It means your mind is awake. You were never meant to be controlled because your spirit was built for independence. So keep choosing clarity over confusion, truth over comfort, and peace over approval. Because the moment you understand your own worth, you become unshakable. And that's what being a Sigma male is all about. Thank you, watching brothers. Thank